Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to another Dark Souls 3 OST reaction, where tonight, ladies and gentlemen, possibly one of the most popular, possibly one of the hardest, and definitely one of the most intriguing characters of the entire Dark Souls trilogy, Pontif Sulyvahn, reminiscent to a lot of like mid-game difficulty in certain. It has borderline Ornstein and Smo when it comes to difficulty. Well, on first playthroughs anyway, because Pontiff is a notorious wall of progression for anyone who's playing this game for the first time, because of so he's basically the exclamation point in one of the best areas of Dark Souls 3, of the Irithyll of the Boreal Valley, which basically has very high HP, very aggressive, with a very devastating set of abilities, minions stalking all throughout this city, some with very varied move sets. Some of them are just so incredibly hard to fight just one on one. And again, the game doesn't even try to hold your hand whatsoever, because most of the time you'll be fighting at least two of these sorts of enemies at once. The ones that dance with blades, the ones that can shoot humanity through their mouths, others who are like well-armored tanks that can cast fire and just have it shoot out of the ground, because they're infused with the power of the profane flame that Pontiff tried to steal from the profane capital. And yes, I didn't come into this not knowing exactly what was going on, and all capitalized by the fact that Sulyvahn's backstory is how he was a sorcerer who basically fled from home, from inside the painting of Ariandale, came all the way to the transient lands where the Lords of Cinder converge, and essentially just took over and started running the place, and tried to exalt his authority over a fallen Lord of Cinder in Aldrich. And lo and behold, he rules as a tyrant. He uses two great swords that he just slashes, points, spears, impales. Sulyvahn has just about as a diverse and as devastating a moveset as well any other boss in this game. And anybody who knows fine well about what happens when he gets into his second phase, where he clones himself, it makes this game... It's like playing against Dark Eater from Dark Souls 2, except there's 4 of them instead of 2. Because this fight is extremely frantic, but he can be parried. And this is the point I was just trying to make before, is that it's not necessarily too difficult on repeat playthroughs if you know how to go about it. But there's nothing that will set you more dread than when you walk into the cathedral. There's no... And you can see the boss, the actual bar for Pontiff is literally just on the screen, and yet no music is played. And then you take a few steps forward, and then you're hit with this lovely piece of dread. So here we go, shall we? And this is what I'm talking about for those who know what's coming. So you're just walking down the aisle, and he's just standing there, his flame swords lit up. And just like with the fight itself, it's graceful, it's flowing, it's filled with the grandiose nature of the act, because the actual the arena that you fight Pontif in inside this enormous cathedral is beautiful to say the least, and it all capitalizes the level of grandeur and probably even the level of power that Sulyvahn just holds over this place. That he can command such an air of power about him, which I know again is the sort of thing that makes a lot of people like roll their eyes, considering that ideally you fight Sulyvahn about like halfway through the game, for the most part, because you have to fight him before you can travel to Anor Londo to face Aldrich himself. But I know that people have sort of like constructed mods so that Sulyvahn is the final boss, and that seems, because that was even the intention, is that Sulyvahn was meant to be the final boss of Dark Souls 3 before they had the idea of the Lord of Cinder, or Soul of Cinder, I should say. But we'll come to that. I'm actually gonna do you guys the favor just turning this up a little bit more, because the drama again, when you realize this isn't even as hard as it gets, when Sulyvahn clones himself for his second stage. Now I know that a lot of people have said that actually the second stage is, well, the fight gets easier because Sulyvahn actually slows down, but it's, if you think I said easier but not easy. And even just the way it ends with like a gentle chime as well. It's not even meant to end with like an enormous explosion. It's just meant to end with, well, what else? It's meant to end with just a somber little chime, as though like the moment you defeat Pontif is when literally there's no grandiose, there's no real great accomplishment, there's no real feeling that you're meant to be. I don't think the game actively wants you to make you feel as though you've done the right thing for killing him. I don't even think it does the opposite thing, where it tries to say it's one or the other. I think it's just trying to tell you that, well done, that's the next Heir of Fire destroyed, so off you go. This is also like something that comes into a lot of boss designs when it comes to Dark Souls, is that they don't really try and make you feel good or bad or say that you've done something incredible. They're just trying to demonstrate or illustrate to you that, well done, you've done it, I guess. Well done, I suppose. Which, considering that this is not only the only tyrant you fight in Dark Souls 3, but we'll get to that next time, it makes this experience even a little bit somber in many ways, because such a scale and such like a dramatic shift in power should have been where the point should have been almost the point where the game becomes incredibly hard, where things become harder and harder and harder. But the game sort of has a little bit of like a, because again, by the time you get past Pontif and you've leveled up properly, and if you even get his like great swords, it's it does feel as if like there are more ways to level up faster when you destroy more powerful enemies. But again, that's I'm trying to keep this objective and not really talk about like my feelings about the games, but it's the only real way I can actually get any sort of context for these. So I hope all of you guys have enjoyed this reaction to the theme for Pontiff, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys again in the next video. Take care, and bye bye for now.